All right, you're probably here because you have a broken spider arm for your LG front load washer. And one of the ways that you can know if it is a broken spider arm is by jiggling your tub and seeing how loose it is. If I grab it and try to move the tub up and down or side to side, it has a lot of play. Your inner tub should not move that much. It shouldn't make that squeaking noise. And when we try to spin it, it makes all kinds of clunking. So there are 3 arms to your spider arm. And so if you look back in here, this weird looking shape back here, that is actually where the spider arm sits. Your spider arm is outside of the tub holding on to the back of it, but these are where the arms go. And because of how bad this one is, I would venture to guess that probably at least 2 of those 3 arms are completely broken. Sometimes they won't be completely broken and they'll just be cracked. And when they're cracked, it may not have this much play and it may not make that much clunking. So you might not be able to tell so easily. But one other thing that you can do is you can look at the existing gap between the drum and the boot seal. Okay, and it should be just a little gap. And then you can spin the drum by hand. And what you're looking for is to see if that gap widens anywhere all the way around. Okay, like up here, the gap is significantly larger than down here, and it should be about the same all the way around. And when I spin this, if you just watch these gaps, you'll be able to tell that clearly something isn't right. And then one other thing that you can look for is this inner part of the boot seal. If you peel this back and you see like right here, this is actually all torn up. Okay, and that's because this drum isn't spinning the way that it should. It's not spinning in a perfect circle. It's wobbling, and because it's wobbling when it spins, it is just eating away at the boot seal. And in some cases, it'll actually cut big chunks of this off. So we're gonna go ahead and open it up and take a look at it. We'll diagnose it, fix it, and put it back together. All right, so we're gonna start in the back by removing this lid. To do that, you're going to look at these plastic tabs. Each one of these tabs has 2 screws that hold it in place. You want to take the screw that is on the bottom on both of these out. And you can come back to the front of the machine and just take the palms of your hands, grab in the corners of the lid, and just push it backwards a couple inches, and then you can slide it right off. We're going to remove this panel on the back, and there's 4 screws that hold it in place, so take all those off. And then you can just pull that panel out towards you. We'll disconnect any of the connections that are back here. This one has a clip you just undo. If you look down here, there's a little zip tie that holds those wires in place. You just cut that zip tie off. And you can pull this out towards you. Undo this little tie on here. And you've got 2 wires that'll be wrapped in this plastic. The white one will just unclip by hand. This blue one, I would usually take a flathead screwdriver and just work it in there. And then just disconnect it. Now we're done on the back. On the back side of your user interface panel, there is 1 screw that helps hold it in place. Go ahead and take that out. You want to pull the soap dispenser out, and it has a little tab right here that you can press down, and then you pull it out towards you and remove the 2 screws that hold that in place. You want to come over the top of the machine here, and we want to disconnect the wires that run to the user interface panel. And now we can pop it off. And you just want to take the tips of your fingers and try to pull back on it and see if it pops off. If it's being stubborn and it won't come off, you can take a flathead screwdriver and just start on the end over here and work it underneath all the way across. Until it pops off, and then you can remove it completely. Now we're in the front of the machine on the bottom left hand side, and you just want to open up this little door, and there's a screw that holds this in place. Once you've got that off, you can pull this plastic part out, and there's another screw right here that you want to take out. And open up the door, And we want to remove the ring that holds this boot seal to the front panel right here. So if you pull this lip back just a little bit, you'll see the metal ring, and you just take a flathead screwdriver and you can stick it up underneath it, pull it out towards you, take it off. And then we can take off the screws that actually hold this front panel in place. You can tuck the boot seal back through the door, and when you do that, it's going to want to lean a little bit towards you. Just kind of hold it up with your leg, and then you want to lean over the top and look for your door switch right here. It's got a wire harness that connects to it on the bottom. You just want to push in on that and pull it down to disconnect it, and then you can pull the panel completely off. Next will be this metal plate. It's got 2 screws over here, 2 screws over here, and there's going to be 1 on the top on either side. So it should be a total of 6 screws that hold it in place. You can just wiggle this off of here. Next, we want to disconnect this hose right here. You take a Phillips bit and unscrew this. Grab your detergent dispenser, and it's got 2 plastic tabs that go into the metal on the sides. Just slide it back and pull it out. Fold it backwards a little bit, and you've got a hose that connects back here, and you just want to unscrew that. Disconnect it, and then you can fold this back completely out of the way. And then while we're up here, take a pair of channel locks. You want to grab these plastic tabs right here like this and just pop them out, and you can tuck them back out of the way. Those just help secure the springs in place so that the springs don't jump up out of there. And now we want to remove our counterweight. There's one on the bottom down here and there's one on the top, and each one is held in by 4 screws, and you can use a 10mm nut driver to take those off. And then you can just pull these right off of there. Disconnect the hose that runs from the tub to the filter. Now, this washer actually has a lot of water in it, so as soon as I take this off, all that water is going to come pouring out. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier when I told you that if your spider arm is broken and you continue to use it, it will tear up your boot seal. And those chunks of the boot seal will go to the bottom of the tub, and they will work their way down into this hose and usually into your filter. So you definitely want to open that up as well and clear it out. And again, these are all just indicators of just that. And if you're seeing anything like that in your filter, you can almost bet that you have a broken spider arm. The last thing that we need to do before we can actually remove the drum is to take off the shock absorbers. And again, this particular model has one here. There is another one back there, and there is one on this side. And we just need to take out the pins that hold them to the tub on the top. And the easiest way to do that is to use a 13mm long socket. What happens is you'll slip this over the back. Now the back of that pin has a little plastic tab that has to get pressed in order for this to pull out. So this slips over the back perfectly, and then you can just pull it out. Now the one in the back is a little bit trickier to get to. There's actually a little section right here that the pin is in, and again, this 13mm deep socket will fit in there just perfectly, and then you can come back to the front and pull it out. And if it doesn't fall out on its own, I just take a flathead screwdriver, poke it to the other side, and it'll come out. And then we've got this last one over here. Now we've got everything disconnected from the tub. We can go ahead and pull it out. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab each one of these springs, okay? And I'll reposition the camera so you can see me doing it from a little further back. But I'm going to grab with my left hand the left spring, my right hand the right spring, and you'll lift up on the springs and then pull them inwards. And I do recommend putting on a pair of gloves just because there are a bunch of sharp edges in there, and you can very easily slice up your fingers, your hand, your wrist. So you just, like I said, you're just going to grab both of these, and I'll usually get in a little bit of a lower stance and just pull up on one side, pull up on the other, and pull out. Now we're going to go ahead and unscrew all the screws that secure the front half of the tub to the back half. And again, we're going to be using a 10mm nut driver for that. And there is one on this model that you can't really get to with this, so I'm going to put an extension on it to make it a little bit easier so I can reach down through it. Now we can separate the front half from the back half just by pulling up. We're going to flip this over. We want to remove this bolt that holds the rotor in place, and to do that you'll use a 17mm socket. Once you do that, you can just pull up on the rotor and take it off. And now we separate the outer tub from the inner tub. We'll see if we can get it to come off just by pulling up on it, just like that. And now we've got to look at our spider arm, and it's just like I suspected, except actually all three arms are either cracked or broken. And you can see here the crack going all the way across. This arm has cracks all the way across, and then this arm actually has a whole section of it that has broken off, and it looks like the beginnings of a crack right here and crack here. So this whole thing is just completely wasted. All right, so we're definitely going to have to take the old one off and put a new one on. This type of spider arm is not the same as the majority of LG's machines. And the way that you'll know the difference is the way that it screws in. The screws are on the outside of the tub right here. There's two here and two on the other ends where the spider arm reaches the end of the drum. And you can see those right there. Now those heads are 10mm heads, so you can use that same 10mm nut driver that you were using before. But most of LG's spider arms are going to look like this, and the holes are going to be on the top instead of coming from the sides. So this would sit on here like this and then screw down into it. So there is a big difference. There's a big difference between the two, because with this specific kind, you really don't want to just start getting in there and take those bolts off right away. So LG uses like something comparable to Loctite thread when they screw them in. And if you just try to go at it with a nut driver or anything like that, you're probably going to strip the head out. What you want to do is you want to get something like a blowtorch and go ahead and heat each one of these up first, just to loosen up the thread lock. And it'll come out just like that. And you want to take something like a flat bar and just pop it all up and see. This is just breaking into pieces. Now we can go ahead and put our replacement on. This is not a brand new part. This is just a used one that I have, and this is just for demonstrative purposes. But for a new one, I will put a link in the description for a replacement part that you can order on Amazon. Don't quote me. I looked it up, and I think there was like $65 to $75, give or take. And you can put your outer tub back on, push it all the way down, put your rotor back on, and screw that back in. Put our tubs back together. And just like that. I'll put the screws in all the way around first. And then I usually will go around 2 times with the drill. And the first time I'm tightening down each one of the screws most of the way. And then the second time that I go around, I am hitting it just ever so slightly to make sure that they have tightened all the way. And one more time. And now we're going to pick this up and put the drum back in there. I always try to get it as close to the machine as I can. And you can take your springs and you want to put them back through the holders on the side here. So there's one over here and one right here. And you want to make sure that the one on the left hooks into the tub at the bottom here, going from the front of the tub through that hole towards the back, so that this hook is facing to the left so that it can hook into the machine. And then the one on the right, you want to go through that hole down there from the back so that the hook up here is facing towards the right, coming from the back of the tub towards the front, and then the other side going from the front to the back. And then you just lift up on the springs and walk it in. And then I usually just hook one side first and then hook the other. Secure the clips. Back at the bottom, we want to push your tub backwards and then take the shock absorber and just pull it over into this hole right here and put the pin back in. And then just repeat that process for the one in the back. And the same thing for the other side. Reconnect the hose to the pump right here. Put your counterweights back on. Reconnect this hose and secure the clamp. Pull the dispenser back forward. We'll reconnect this hose back to the back of the dispenser here. I find it easiest to have this clamp with the screw facing up like this. And then you can take these two plastic tabs right here and stick them into these little holes right here on the side of the machine and slide them forward. Our metal plate will go back on. It does have a little metal tab there and a metal tab there, and those tabs go inside these little slits. And I just want to make sure that your dispenser comes through here properly. It should stick out about 1/2 inch or so outside of this metal plate. And slip your door back on. And then just make sure that you come over the top and grab that wire harness and plug it back into the door switch. Just push it forward and you can hold it with your leg. Screw it back in. Feed the wires for your user interface board back through, and this will just pop on there. Reconnect them, and then you can secure them to these little clamps right here. As well as this screw to hold the control panel in place, and the ones here at the bottom. Okay, you want to pull the boot seal back through this hole right here. And then just take your fingertips and work it around the metal lip until you've got it on all the way around. Once you've got it on there, just run your fingers around and make sure that it feels flush. And we'll put our metal ring back on to secure it in place. I always put the spring of the metal ring down here at the bottom and just slightly off center to the right. And then I'll work in the right hand side of the ring into the groove of the boot seal, about halfway on top, halfway on bottom. And then I'll use a pair of needle nose pliers and I'll grab the left hand side of the spring. And what I'm going to do is use my weight to pull the spring to the left while I use my left hand to work the ring around, work the ring into the groove the rest of the way around. Just like that. Now that can be tricky if you've never done it. Amazon does sell a tub spring expansion tool. Runs about 10 bucks. I'll put a link for that as well in my description. It does make the process a lot easier, but if you don't want to order one of those, like I said, you can just use a pair of cheap needle nose pliers. And then just come back to the back to finish up and reconnect all of your connections back here. Cover it in plastic and make sure to wrap it back up. That way, if you ever have a water leak or anything back here, you don't have water getting on your connections. And this one as well. Now that we've got that all done, got it all put it back together, we're gonna run it for just a second and see if it fixes our problem. All right, and that sounds good. And I took a closer look at it, and it looks like it's spinning exactly the way that it should. So that is definitely a little bit more of an involved repair. Not something that you're going to be able to knock out very quickly. For perspective, the average time for me to do a spider arm replacement, it ranges anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour at the most. But if you've never done it, probably double to triple that time. I have seen instances of people online who have said that they have spent the better part of a day, anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. Whether it's a bearing replacement or a spider arm replacement. I don't say that to scare you, just to make sure that if you are going to do it, that you set aside enough time, because it is one of the more complicated repairs. Best of luck to you, and we'll catch you next time.